Beware, weary traveler, as the journey that you're about to embark on is one of mystery and danger, and not for the faint of heart. So grab your journals and your dipper caps, as I'm about to take you on the outrageous occult odyssey that is Gravity Falls. Oh, greetings fanboys and fangirls, I'm ERod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster, and welcome to the Mystery Shack, where mystery and adventure are only a few $100s away. Today's attraction is an animated series that embodies all the attributes that the Shack is known for. Action, adventure, horror, romance, comedy, and the paranormal. So viewer beware, you're in for a... Oh, that's the tagline for Goosebumps. I'm sorry, I don't want to get sued by Sony. Anyway, created by the real-life Mr. Mystery Alex Hirsch, Gravity Falls was always intended to tell one big epic story across a limited amount of episodes, as opposed to most animated shows that will stay on the air for as long as the network is willing to renew them. For this reason, the executives at Disney Programming never expected this series to have a strong following, since the show wasn't going to be on the air for more than 2 years. Miraculously, in just a span of 40 episodes, Gravity Falls developed a fandom that nearly rivals Star Trek, as the show's seamless combination of thrills, humor, childlike wonder, and complex mysteries have drawn audiences of all ages and backgrounds. So much so that there's even talk of doing a Gravity Falls themed convention. But before we start putting together our tad strange costumes to attend the first annual Gravity Con, let's look at the show that spawned the fandom.
The plot.
The entire series takes place over the course of one summer, in which a set of disparate twins, Dipper and Mabel Pines, are sent away to spend their time off from school with their crooked great-uncle Stan, or Grunkle Stan as they like to call him. Stan lives in Gravity Falls, Oregon, where he runs a roadside tourist trap called the Mystery Shack. There, gullible tourists are treated to tours consisting of fake, poorly made supernatural attractions. But there's a twist. While the attractions at the Shack might be bogus, paranormal occurrences are 100% real in Gravity Falls, Oregon. Gnomes, zombies, grim goblins, and all manner of bizarre occurrences are commonplace in this one town for some unexplained reason. And after Dipper finds a journal belonging to the last person that was investigating the mysteries of this odd town, the twins take it upon themselves to continue the author's work and solve the mysteries of Gravity Falls.
Mystery twins?
I thought you hated that.
I'm starting to accept it.
It's like the Goonies meets Twin Peaks. No. Yes, that is a correct combination, but Goonies met Twin Peaks and was animated. There we go.
Cast and characters.
Like The Simpsons and South Park, Gravity Falls has a huge amount of recurring characters. So much so that they each have their own fan group. My personal favorite is Manly Dan Corduroy, played by John DiMaggio. He's just an erupting volcano of testosterone.
It's rickety, man. You shouldn't even...
Yes! Pancakes for everyone!
I also want to give major props to all the unbelievable guest stars the show has had, like TJ Miller, Nathan Fillion, Alfred Molina, Mark Hamill, and my personal favorite, Weird Al Yankovic, as Probabilitor the Annoying.
Come on, this game was a lot of fun. I had my mom pack me a lunch. Ew, apple slices. I'll eat you last.
But supporting characters are nothing without their lead characters, so let's start talking about the protagonists with...
The villains.
Now, for the most part, Gravity Falls was a Monster of the Week show, but I have to say that generally their monsters were very memorable and insanely creative. My personal favorite out of these one-time threats was the Summerween Trickster, played by the legendary Jeff Bennett.
Funny, am I?
Trick or treat. My name is Gorney. Remember me!
Gorney!
But throughout the course of the series, there were only 2 legitimately threatening recurring villains. And the first one was Gideon Gleeful, played by Thurop Van Orman, the creator of The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, and Alex Hirsch's former boss. Now, on a side note, the fact that Orman, a successful animator, could put his ego aside to work for one of his former employees speaks volumes about this man's character. Now that is a bro. Anywho, Gideon is an adorable 10-year-old with psychic abilities, who is the main attraction at the Tent of Telepathy, the Mystery Shack's main competitor. But in reality, Gideon is a demented, evil, spoiled child who delves into the occult and has illusions of world domination and marrying Mabel.
Wow, Mabel! I wouldn't hurt a hair on your itty-bitty head.
If you agree to be my queen,
We live in a democracy, and never!
The character is a brilliant parody of televangelist preachers, and in my opinion, one of Alex Hirsch's greatest creations.
Gideon Charles Gleeful, clean up your room this instant.
I can buy and sell you, old man!
Fair enough.
But the biggest, baddest villain in the entirety of the series was Bill Cipher, played by Alex Hirsch himself. Bill is a dream demon intent on reshaping the whole of reality in his image, but he is trapped in another dimension and can only enter our reality via dreams or demonic possession. It is hinted throughout the series that Bill has been influencing human history since the dawn of time, slowly but surely breaking down the dimensional barrier that keeps him at bay. The character is a devious, demented trickster, and one of the most hilariously unpredictable villains I have ever seen.
Hey, look what I can do! Deer teeth! For you, kid!
You're insane!
Sure I am. What's your point?
But the question remains, once Bill breaks through into our reality, who's gonna be brave enough and smart enough to oppose him?
The Heroes.
While this show might be about supernatural comical adventures, at its core, like The Flash, it is about a loving, caring family that stands together for the greater good, and sometimes wrecking things.
I hate Summerween.
Let's move!
Let's begin with the honorary member of the Pines family, Wendy Corduroy, played by the lovely and talented Linda Cardellini. Wendy starts out as a jaded, sardonic teenage Mystery Shack employee, but very quickly evolves into an awesome companion on Dipper and Mabel's adventures. One major point of obsession among the viewers is how Dipper, who is 12 years old, is madly in love with Wendy, even though she's much older than him. There is so much fan art depicting the two together on the internet, it's downright disturbing. With that said, this is one of the very few romantic subplots in the world of entertainment that I actually enjoy, as it is very realistic. When you're young, you tend to fall in love with people who are completely out of your league. So I feel like anyone can relate to this. Plus, unlike other animated shows where the main character has a crush on a girl who's completely awful. Seriously, on Fairly Odd Parents, why does Timmy Turner like Trixie Tang? She is the worst. The worst! Wendy, on the other hand, is awesome squared.
Because after I break Ghost Eye's arm and steal that key from your neck, I'm gonna wear your butt on my foot like a rhinestone slipper.
You'll never get away with this, you hear me?
Guess what? We already did!
Wendy, you're the coolest person I know.
I know, dude. Tell me about it later.
Okay, let's move on to the handiest handyman in the history of television. Jesus Alzamarino Ramirez, aka Zeus, also played by Alex Hirsch. Yeah, you're gonna hear me say that a lot throughout this video because Alex plays a lot of characters on this show, but hey, what can I say? The guy is talented. The evolution of this character is beautiful, as he starts out as nothing more than the comic relief character, who's only there to provide laughs out of his misfortune, and for some reason has some misguided loyalty towards the crooked and greedy Stan Pines.
I'd do anything for the Pines family. Zeus! I need to scratch myself in 2 places at once! And I mean anything. Coming, Mr. Pines!
But as the series progresses, we discover that Zeus comes from a broken family, and that his father walked out on him when he was very young. So Stan, as shady as he might be, is the closest thing to a father that Zeus has ever had. Zeus is the most loyal, loving, selfless character in the series, and it is my personal belief that we all need a Zeus in our lives.
Braces! Braces caught in the screen door! Someone dictate my will! I'm giving it all to Waddle!
Say girl dude.
Zeus, you saved me!
Just doing my job, Hambone.
Alright, let's move on to the responsible parental figure of the group, but only by default. Stan Pines, played again by Alex Hirsch. There are other actors on this show, I swear. Stan is a combination of the grumpy grandfather your parents force you to spend time with and the cool uncle they have no choice but to allow you to spend time with. Based on Alex Hirsch's real-life grandfather, Stan is a career con man who spent most of his adult life moving from one scam to the other, until he discovered the most devious con of them all, the tourist trap. Now, one of the best recurring themes in the series is that nothing is ever what it seems. And while on the surface Stan might appear to be a greedy, selfish con artist, deep down he legitimately cares about his family. And like Gravity Falls itself, he has his own fair share of secrets. But more on that later. Now let's talk about the mystery twins, starting with Mabel Pines, played by the lovely and hilarious Kristen Schaal. Guys, this is one of my all-time favorite characters, right up there with Darkwing Duck and Philip J. Fry. Mabel is loopy, hilarious, and unapologetically herself no matter the situation. Her joy and enthusiasm are uncontainable. She is quite literally the most fearless character I have ever seen, as she is never concerned with fitting in or doing what's socially acceptable. Even in the episode Irrational Treasure, where Pacifica Northwest shames her into trying to be serious.
Hey, I can be serious.
Mabel still can't stop being Mabel. In fact, it's due to her silliness that her and Dipper solved the mystery in that episode.
Oh, gross! She's picking my nose!
Now, I would like to say that Mabel is Alex Hirsch's greatest creation, but unfortunately, I can't say that. Because he didn't create Mabel, as the character is directly based on Alex Hirsch's actual factual twin sister, Ariel Hirsch. Yes, there is a real-life Mabel Pines. From her obsession with goofy sweaters to her infatuation with dated boy bands, Ariel is the sole inspiration to arguably the best character in the series. And personally, just knowing that there is a real-life Mabel Pines walking around makes me feel like the world really is a better place. Yes, definitely, absolutely.
No one that lives under my roof is allowed under that Gideon's roof.
Do tents have roofs?
I think we just found our loophole. Literally. Wop wop!
And last but not least, everyone's favorite sweaty, awkward, mystery-solving preteen, Dipper Pines, played by the talented, kind, and disproportionately handsome Jason Ritter. Dipper, who Hirsch based on himself, is very much the everyman, the surrogate character that the audience can instantly identify with. While Mabel needs no one's approval to feel validated, Dipper's ongoing quest throughout the series is to get the approval of others, as an investigator, as a grandnephew, a potential boyfriend, and even, in a very hilarious episode, as a man.
You wish to be man?
Dipper's journey from feeble 12-year-old to capable hero is both spectacular and inspiring, as he learns one of the most important lessons you will ever learn in life, which is that everything you need to succeed is already inside of you.
Run for it!
Yes! Yes! That was nuts! You ruled back there, man!
Thanks.
Character design and animation.
First things first, I cannot express how thankful I am that they use traditional hand-drawn animation in this series. It seems like more and more animated shows these days use either CG or flash animation, and while the technology has advanced, it still doesn't look as appealing as traditional animation. So the show doesn't just have brilliant writing and intriguing storytelling, it's also beautiful to look at. And while we're on the subject of aesthetics, when I first started watching this show, I couldn't figure out why I instantly liked the way the characters looked. There was something inherently familiar about their designs that appealed to me on a subconscious level. Well, as it turns out, during a panel, Alex Hirsch revealed that the reason for this was because he designed all the characters to look like or have qualities similar to Jim Henson's puppets, as those were the characters that he found most appealing when he was a kid.
That joke was really something.
Yeah, something terrible.
Also, am I the only one who just loves the fact that this show has an opening sequence? It breaks my heart that this has become a rare thing nowadays, with more and more shows just showing a 10-second shot of the title and that's it. Oh, and before I start talking about the individual seasons, I should mention that in between season 1 and 2, a series of 17 Gravity Falls shorts were released on both the Disney XD website and channel. They are all available right now on YouTube, and I highly recommend them, as they are all pretty darn hilarious.
Hey guys, what are you
Brenda, hold him down!
These pants are so tight, I can't move.
Season 1.
Like most inaugural seasons, Gravity Falls' first chapter is mostly dedicated to introducing the characters and laying the foundation for the rest of the series. And while this season might be very exposition heavy, due to the fact that Alex Hirsch had a clear game plan as to where the series was headed, all the exposition and groundwork is well balanced with plenty of intriguing, entertaining content, giving this show plenty of replay value, as the exposition scenes never feel boring, no matter how many times you watch them.
When fighting a gremlin, use water only as a last resort, as water will make him much, much scarier. Who writes sentences like that?
In fact, the pilot episode, Tourist Trap, is one of the absolute best pilot episodes I have ever seen, which shouldn't come as a huge surprise, as Alex Hirsch had to produce it twice. First as the independent short he used to sell the show, and then, of course, as the version that made it to air. While the independent version might be a little rough around the edges, it is still very well made, as it shows that Hirsch had a very clear vision of what he wanted the show to be. And I highly recommend it to any hardcore Gravity Falls fans. Also, it's worth mentioning that Hirsch is a huge fan of puzzles, pictographs, and ciphers. So if the mysteries of Gravity Falls aren't challenging enough for you, Hirsch hid all manner of secret messages throughout the series, some of which you can actually solve by using journal number 3, while the rest, you have to be as smart as Dipper to solve them. Season 1 also began the tradition of the anthology episode, which is usually framed with the characters telling multiple stories about their adventures in Gravity Falls. Usually when I'm trying to get someone interested in this show, these are the episodes that I show them, as they provide an excellent example of what the show is generally like.
Tell a story. Really? Okay. This story is called Seuss's Really Great Pinball Story. Is that a good title? They have to be like puns or whatever?
Now, if you want to know what my favorite episode of Season 1 is, I would have to go with The Time Traveler's Pig, in which Dipper tries to use a time-traveling tape measure, oh, you heard me right, to try and change his relationship with Wendy in his favor. It's a very touching episode in which Dipper, as per usual, learns a valuable lesson about sacrifice, and how some things are just not meant to be.
Her mouth is filled with silver, Mother.
These are called braces.
Mabel, we can't start messing with the past.
Oh, says the guy who messed with the past all day and cost me my pig? I'll mess with whatever I want. Check it out, a magic button machine. Shoes that blink.
Oh.
Hey, sister, guess who gets to vote in the future? Ladies!
The arc of the season dealt with Gideon's rivalry with Stan, and how it escalates until Gideon teams up with Bill to gain possession of the Mystery Shack, and eventually take over Gravity Falls. And of course, in the end, only Dipper and Mabel can stop him. One of the most surprising elements of this series is how it can go from a wacky cartoon comedy to an adrenaline-fueled thrill ride from one episode to the other. And the finale of Season 1 was no exception. It was, in one word, epic.
Season 2.
Alright, I cannot talk about this show any further without spoiling the overall mystery of the series. So if you've never seen Gravity Falls, you might want to stop the video here, because there will be major spoilers ahead. You've been warned. After gaining immeasurable levels of success after only 20 episodes, Alex Hirsch could have played it safe and just churned out 20 more episodes that were more or less the same, and the fans would have remained happy. But that's not what he did, as in season 2 he pretty much changed the status quo by dropping the ultimate bombshell.
What? Who is that? The author of the journals. My brother.
That's right, Grunkle Stan had a long-lost twin brother called Ford Pines, who was the one who initially came to Gravity Falls to catalog and investigate the weirdness, ultimately chronicling his findings in the journals.
Ah! The journals!
Sorry, just got excited there.
It was he who first discovered Bill Cipher, and was nearly tricked into giving him passage into our world. And while he was trying to prevent Bill's arrival, it was Stan who accidentally trapped him in Bill's dimension. Guilt-stricken by his mistake, Stan stayed in Ford's home in Gravity Falls, spending the next 30 years trying to reopen the portal and save his brother, eventually turning Ford's home into the Mystery Shack, in order to make ends meet. The presence of Ford in the series created a ticking clock, as now that Ford was around, there was no reason to keep the Mystery Shack open. So as soon as the summer ended and Dipper and Mabel went back home, Stan could move out and give Ford his house back, and the Mystery Shack would be closed for good. This made a lot of fans uneasy, which is understandable, as change is hard to accept. Personally, however, I love the inclusion of Ford in this series, as he had a direct connection to the paranormal elements of the series, and would often explain the day-to-day insanity that Dipper and Mabel would face. He also served as a mentor to Dipper, and would nurture and encourage his geeky obsession with the supernatural, as the majority of the other characters would mostly mock him for it.
And I thought your brother was weird.
No, he's more like, ooh, let's solve a mystery. I kiss a pillow with Wendy's face drawn on it.
That's pretty good.
And did I mention that Ford was played by J.K. Simmons? Now that is awesome! While Stan might be the cool uncle that most of us have, Ford is the cool uncle that I wish I had. The guy is a super intelligent, monster-fighting, six-fingered badass. And as far as I'm concerned, he was an excellent addition to the show.
Everyone get down! Don't let it taste human flesh!
Oh, and I thought it was genius how the creators of the show parodied the inevitable negative reaction some of the viewers were going to have when Ford was revealed.
You had a twin brother all along? That's the big twist we were waiting for?
What a ripoff! I predicted that like a year ago.
Now, if any of you are curious to know what my favorite episode of Season 2 is, I would have to go with Blendon's Game. Yes, the other time travel episode, Sue Me. It's just that freaking good. We see Seuss's origins, Dipper and Mabel go on an epic quest to give Seuss the birthday party he deserves, and the episode ends with a scene so touching that if you don't shed a tear, that's because there's a dried up raven's nest in the place where your heart should be. If Season 2 is about anything, it would have to be about legacy. Who the characters want to be as they move forward, and how they want to be remembered. Stan sees Ford's achievements and how much the family admires him, and that propels him to have more ambition in his life, which showed us a side of his character we had never seen before. But some characters, like Mabel, just want things to stay the same forever, which leads to the reemergence of the biggest bad of them all, Bill Cipher. Which of course leads into the most epic show finale you will ever see in your life, Weirdmageddon, which sees Bill escape his dimension and take over Gravity Falls, along with his nightmarish horde of henchmaniacs. And thus it is up to the Pines family and the rest of the strange denizens of Gravity Falls to stop Bill, save the world, and take back the falls.
Hey, do you hear that?
I just fixed that door!
It's the Shacktron, dude!
They made the house into a robot. Fascinating.
As I said, this is by far one of the very best show finales ever made, packed with action, thrills, excitement, surprises, and legitimately heartwarming moments. While it was sad to see Gravity Falls end, this was still a hell of an end.
Watch it! Go around that bubble field!
No way around! Hold on! We're going through!
What's even in there?
Final verdict.
Now, before I close this out, I want to take a moment to recommend Journal Number 3, which is not just a great companion to the series as it contains every single page shown in the episodes, but it also expands upon a lot of the elements in the series. Not to mention that after Weirdmageddon, apparently the journal was restored and Ford continued writing in it. So, in this book, you will find a detailed account of what he experienced while he was in Bill's dimension, as well as the events that followed after Weirdmageddon, which include an account in which Dipper confesses his real name to him.
The Big Dipper! That's how you got your nickname. I thought your parents just hated you or something.
Now, technically speaking, if you want to know Dipper's real name, all you have to do is look it up online. However, I think that it's better and more meaningful if you find out what it is by reading the journal the way that Alex Hirsch intended you to. But hey, that's just my opinion. So what else can I say about this awesome show? In a world where every other cartoon show is an adaptation or a reboot of something else, Gravity Falls dared to be different and imaginative. It dared to show us that there is humor and hope to be found no matter how strange or frightening of a situation you might find yourself in. It taught us that success isn't worth having if you don't have someone to share it with. And more importantly, to never give up, even if the odds seem impossible. And to always be yourself, because that's the best self you could ever be. And if you're wondering, yes, I do count this as one of the greatest animated shows ever made. Right up there with Batman the Animated Series, Avatar The Last Airbender, and Samurai Jack. And you can feel free to quote me on that. 10 points in the Badassitude meter! Gather your siblings, open up a can of Pit Cola, and give it a watch. Until the next mystery, I'm ERod, and I'm the Blockbuster Buster.